every team in the playoffs has picked the red side. So obviously, the value of last pick has been outweighing any potential of snapping up an early champion. It's just a sign of patch 5.6 where the balance levels, honestly, that's why we see so many champions in competitive, is there's no real must-pick, must-ban champions in terms of first picks. And so the Direwolves, we saw Chiefs last pick the Anivia, did so much work for them. What will they be able to last pick for? Because I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be for the top lane.
Yeah, it's going to be for Perfection, you have to think. And Hecarim's been banned away from him again. Shyvana, there's some respect over to Swiper, who saw a play on the champion in their semi-final, and Urgot banned away there by the Chiefs.
So Urgot's a very powerful pick. Of course, it punishes AD carries. Radius 707. Apologies to him when we're talking about MVPs. One of the ways to hold down a hyper carry AD carry player is to pick up the Urgot. Of course, Sharp can also look to play it in the mid lane to keep down one of those more powerful picks, like say Twisted Fate, for example. Once again, it's the Sivir priority put on by the Chiefs.
Yeah, Nivea, the last ban actually from the Chiefs, so going to take away that mid lane pick, but lots open now potentially. Only the one ban this time actually up against Perfection with a Hecarim, so Direwolves a lot of room to maneuver, and they're going to get the Janna and the Sion. Exactly the first two picks the Chiefs got.
And the mirror picks in general. Sivir was your first pick from the Direwolves in game one. The priority seems to be very similar for these teams. Where the draft goes from here, that'll be interesting. And wow. Swiper had some massive carry performances in the semifinals. That's a notable fact, because previous to the semifinals, definitely been that tank role player, but I believe 18 kills or so on this Aurelia over 2 games, did massive work, and Nautilus is either going to be in support or jungle, you'd have to think.
Yeah, fairly big pick there for both of the top laners actually. So Aurelia, they're coming through. And along with Nautilus, have to think it's jungle at this point. Could, of course, be a support as well, so bit of flexibility there. But the Chiefs are trying to cut away some of the options from the Direwolves.
In terms of flex picks, just because we know these teams so well, the Direwolves in particular, they don't really have a lot of flex picks because Perfection's not a Sion player. Of course, he could play that champion, but he's been needed by his team to play more carry champions. You'd have to think that Sion's going to Soul Strikes in the jungle. Vladimir, expected to be a top lane, could be a mid lane champion. I could see it fitting Sharp's playstyle to some degree. The Nautilus, though, that is a flex pick coming through from the Chiefs. It could be support. We could see the return of engaged support Rosie, or it could be Spooks in the jungle.
Yeah, and Corki there, the AD carry pickup for King. Bit of a wonky matchup up against the Sivir, probably one of the better ones still left in the AD carry pool as far as Sivir matchups go. But we'll see what the Chiefs want to pick away. They've got 2 picks to make here, and as we've said, teams really seem to want the red side, so the Chiefs going to make some of these picks blind.
They're going to have to blind pick their soul laners. That's just the reality of being on the blue side. We're waiting to see what they're looking to pick up in this situation. They've already got their AD carry top laner, and we'd assume jungle or support. They're actually taking a lot of time to decide. On the Direwolves side, you see a lot of engage, a lot of turret damage coming through from the Corki, you'd have to think. And there's the lock-in. Gragas finally sees his appearance in this game. And Twisted Fate, that's a blind pick mid laner, not showing a lot of respect to Sharp. There's a lot of potential bad matchups for Twisted Fate. What does he have available to punish a blind pick TF?
I'm not sure, but that should be Gragas jungle, you have to think here, unless Rosie is going really off the deep end this time. And he's at a pretty narrow champion pool. Nautilus, if he takes it, and that's the assumption here, that's already a far cry from a lot of what he played, both in the playoffs and in the regular OPL season. The Direwolves, though, do have 1 pick left here, and it is going to be, you have to think, probably a pick for the mid lane, of course. And it was open last game. Sharp didn't take it, but he might go back to the Comfort Xerath.
But this is a situation where Sharp's champion pool starts to shine through. Twisted Fate actually made his triumphant return to the meta as a counter pick to Xerath, because, of course, is able to match Xerath's wave clear, then exit lane, and Xerath has to only can really roam with his ultimate to some degree. So in this situation, this is not a pick that really punishes Twisted Fate in lane. So the first Destiny, it could be game decided. We already saw an early level 1 fight really decide the tone of our first game of the series. Destiny is what we're going to be looking for in this game.
And the last time this happened to the Direwolves, I'm sure they're getting some not so happy flashbacks of their OPL games this split. Perfection was the target of many a Destiny here by Swiffer, so the Chiefs might be back on the old Camp Perfection plan.
Yeah, it was Chiefs versus Direwolves game 1 where they really punished him on the Rumble, I believe, that game. First the Aurelia really working him down, then the roam from the jungler, then the teleport coming in from Twisted Fate. Look, he'll take what he can get with the Destiny, but man, he's going to be looking towards that top lane.
And that's the thing, when you give Swiper Aurelia, that's the other thing that shifts for the Chiefs. No longer is he just there self-sufficient on a tank. Spooks is up there in his lane. Swiffer might be there in his lane as well. well, getting him ahead. And as soon as Aurelia starts to tip the balance of a lane, she takes over.
And you notice the one thing you can say about this draft page time is when they lose the Janna, when they lose the disengaged support, they just get the disengaged jungler, because to some degree, that explosive cask, it's pretty much a ranged Monsoon.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different thing here for Spooks. Great thing to point out. I've heard Gragas actually compared by Spawn, of course, one of our color commentators here, likens it most to Lee Sin, and if there's ever a big Lee Sin player in Oceania, it's probably Spooks.
A lot of early damage coming through, the gap close with the body slam, and then the ultimate. That's the unique factor. So much disengage, and hell, potentially engage.
I mean, we'll see what he does with it, but it should be early aggression again here for the Chiefs. They're about to break out of the base here for our second game, in the Chiefs up a game here in this best-of-5 grand final. The Dial's going to look to answer back and make it a best-of-3.
You have to think it's a must-win game for the Dials just to get a bit of momentum. Giving away a 2-0 makes every game a potential decider for the Chiefs if you're a Dials fan. And honestly, a lot of it to me is on Sharp and Soul Strikes. Can they make Swiffer accountable? Either punish him with his weak laning phase or take his turret. Because if Twisted Fate can just clear waves and then show up with the Destiny, it's always going to be advantage Chiefs.
And that was the biggest thing for Soul Strikes' play in the split that's not reflected in his champions like Sejuani. He was a great reactive ganker. We talk about the top and bottom lanes overextending for the Dials. It was Soul Strike that sort of kept the balance there of the pendulum, you have to think. Just moving back and forth, making sure everyone's okay and getting them through their long laning phases. When you have a more reactive champion like Sejuani, Soul Strikes can't do that. So can he do it here on Sion? And
Sion's such an interesting pick, Pastry Time. It's definitely a Soul Strike special. We haven't seen a lot of jungle Sion anywhere, really. It's been an OPL trademark. He's 2-1, I believe, on that champion at this point. Played it twice during the semifinals. Speaking to Spooks previous to the game, he actually said he wasn't a big fan of the Sion jungle. He didn't really see the validity of it. In this situation, though, one thing I can tell you about Sion, although he has a lot of setup, you can see him channeling that decimating smash. Takes a long time, does a surprising amount of damage in early skirmishes. So if you have set up CC in the lanes, whether it's a Janna knockup, whether it's a stun coming through from Xerath, you can actually do a lot of work in early ganking as Sion.
And that's what Soul Strikes wants to do. Apply some of the early pressure, get his aggressive laners ahead, get Perfection a comfortable lane, get King ahead, who's on the Corki here in this game for quite a surprising pick. But we're looking for a lane swap. Swiper and Spooks will start the Gromp together, and Sivir already trying in the top lane.
Yeah, it's actually a blue side initiated lane swap coming through from the Chiefs. We see Gragas with the jungle follow, as you said. If we do see a support roam, that's a lot of support, a lot of roam and CC potential between the Gragas and the Nautilus.
Perfection, though, actually cleared away a camp, I believe, on his own. Perfection has done this multiple times on surprising champions. It was Nautilus in the semifinal where he did the same thing to the Raptor camp, but that man always finds a camp to clear.
And this is with Vladimir. This wasn't a solo clear. You actually saw Janna on the minimap walking over to help him just because Vladimir, it's not a viable jungler. He doesn't actually have short cooldowns at level 1 especially, so needed the help from the Janna. But as you mentioned, going to eventually enter lane level 2 or better.
And I wonder where Perfection wants to go now. Actually walking into his jungle, which is quite dangerous as 3 Chiefs are there already. Perfection will face check it, knows what's going on now. Can't do anything, unfortunately, but will at least get some information.
It's a very high-risk check, as you say. This is vertical jungling with the lane swap initiated by Chiefs. You can tell that they're working on the blue side. They have 4 members on the top side of the jungle. So that should be basically an area that Dials aren't able to enter, but so confident. He's actually going to pick up the Raptors. That's a camp that shouldn't have been going over to the Dials. It's going to be a bonus, you'd have to say, for the Dials.
Yeah, a bonus for sure here as Soul Strikes will get the red buff away with the help of Chuffer. Support's actually following the jungler for the Dials. Nautilus has rejoined Sivir in the top lane, though, for the Chiefs. Chuffer doing a good job roaming around, and that's leaving Perfection some free camps. Again, Vladimir jungle, not too sure how much work he's going to get done, but Perfection doesn't want to enter that lane.
Exactly, he doesn't need to enter the lane. Realistically, he's not in range of being able to get any experience. He hasn't skilled pool by level 2. He's needed both his Q and E to be able to clear down camps. So scary to overextend against a Nautilus support of all things. So just getting bonus experience around the map, and honestly, 7-2, it's worked out. I've never thought I'd say this, but the jungle follow from Vladimir has been better than the jungle follow from Aurelia.
And that's because he's soloing the camps. He's actually not following, which is the interesting part, as Soul Strike gets a Scuttle Crab there. But Perfection, again, at this point, he's used to getting lane swapped on. He's found very creative ways, and his team really helps him in the early game situations. But Swiper is now down in the bottom, getting the experiences the way he's pushed in, and that hard for is still going on in the top lane.
And despite having a lane swap initiated on them, it's actually been Dials to pick up extra gold in the early stage of the game, just because, again, Vladimir's done surprising amount of jungling. It wasn't been zoned away like Swiper, who's finally now under turret able to get some CS. Swiper entered lane a lot earlier, but doing fine.
And I actually like the swap here for the Wolves, interestingly. Don't normally like seeing Perfection swapped on, but they answered very nicely with a lot of his early jungling, holding down Aurelia a little bit, and most importantly, getting the Corki out of the Sivir lane.
CC Crew's coming
yeah,
in.
Spooks is here as well. We are going to join in with the Nautilus on Soulstrike's trying to counter jungle, but instead just going to barrel. Might have a smite off here, as actually just give up the camp instead. And the Chiefs rotating in. They're going to try and get a kill. Maybe Chuffer going to join in. He's only level 2 though, and Soulstrike does get the Grump.
Yeah, of course, it's not a counter jungle for Soulstrike. Stays on the defensive side of the map. It looked like Chiefs were trying to look around the Dragon area, despite the fact that they're jungling on the top side of the jungle. So in terms of like identifying the points of power, at this point it feels like the jungle's up for grabs for whoever shows up first. And when we're talking about Nautilus Gragas, you just get away.
Yeah, Gold Rush rules right now for the jungle campers. Perfection will join Radiant now, getting taken down quite low actually. Radiant with the good early damage on the AD carry, and of course Vlad needs to scale up. Doran Shield helping out a little bit, but Perfection starting to get some CS and experience from the lane.
But you definitely take Sivir in the early levels. Vladimir lanes like this only start to tip around the levels 7 to 9 when you get 4 or 5 points in that transfusion and critically pick up the Hextech Revolver. In this laning matchup, it's a lot more risky for the Vlad. So it's just going to hang back, happy to give away CS. He's falling a little bit behind the Aurelia, but as long as he's picking up the experience, Vlad, he scales with items, but damn, he also scales with levels too.
Yeah, and again, just trying to navigate the awkward early stages. That has isolated this mid lane though, of course, since Swiffer, almost level 6, gone back very swiftly and got himself cooldown boots already.
And Direwolves, they really haven't done any defensive warding in this situation. At this point, if Swiffer exits the mid lane, it is going to be completely hypothetical to Direwolves to work out which lane he's going to be going to. At this point, though, with the posturing, it's going to be top.
Looks like top indeed. Their pull is forced out there by Perfection. Actually, just dodged the passive from Rosie as well, so gets out nicely. There was some, again, great mechanics like we expect, but Spooks is here as well. The camp has started, but Perfection not interested, going straight back to the tier 2 turret.
But Chuff has been so slow to roam. He finally roams at 6 minutes. They have no defensive wards around mid. They finally get one towards the red side, so they'll spot Twisted Fate if he moves towards the bottom lane, but in top lane, they have no vision at all.
Yeah, Perfection and Soulstrikes do get the Krugs. The Chiefs even looking to take that away from them, but an aggressive ward down. We're going to start quite the proxy. A Swiper down the bottom will go down, and the roam not there, but Chuffer getting first blood.
Looking for a solo kill off screen there. Swiper was just surprised by Janna coming back to the bottom lane at the perfect time. Exhaust, summoner heal used. Aurelia falls down. That's early advantage to the Direwolves.
And a good bait there for the Wolves. Maybe a bit unfortunate that King didn't get the kill, but a kill's a kill here as first blood does fall to them. The tower, though, will go down nice and early. We talked about the Direwolves not liking to lose those turrets early. They'll lose one very early in this game.
And a kill for a trade for an outer turret. You definitely take the outer turret as the trade. They're just making sure the maximum amount of blue minions die to this turret before the turret eventually falls down. Probably expect Raider to want to get the kill credit for the extra gold, picks it up happily, and that's first turret and global advantage to the Chiefs.
And even maybe going to pull the wave off and go for another freeze again. But we'll see what they do want to do. Swiffer still trying to push things out. Lots of wave clear here in the mid lane. Sharp, a little bit behind in CS actually. Swiffer slightly ahead there, but hasn't been able to leave the lane quite yet for that first Destiny.
He definitely hasn't been pressured. Actually been able to pick up an 8 CS advantage. Now getting blue buff, working his way towards 40% CDR. Actually already has about 25% or more with the very early CDR boots. He's been able to get through this lane without even having to pick up any defensive statistics whatsoever, and is confident enough, even against a lot of CC coming through from the Direwolves, to pick up those early CDR boots.
I mean, what do you think of the build here from Swiffer? Because that is very fast, as the Destiny has got pop now as well. Maybe just going to get some vision, but they're in the top lane. The Dragon going to go down there for the Wolves, but Perfection goes down. And again, it started, the Divers will get the Dragon, but poor Perfection, he remembers this, and not very fondly.
No, he does not remember this fondly at all. 28-35 CS behind, but crucially, already multiple members entering his lane. They're going to continue freezing the wave to add insult to injury. Up top, we see Aurelia freezing the wave, and Perfection, he found camps I didn't think he could get at level 1, but at this point, the actual lane experience seems very difficult for him to pick up.
King going aggressive onto Radiant. That's going to force the ulti. Soulstrike's here, looking for the slow, but a good flash from Radiant will get him out from under it. Going to go turn aggressive now, will Radiant, as he looks for potentially a spell shade onto the Tornado. The Dials will push the minions off the turret, and they're going to try and take their first now.
He's actually able to spy over to Swiffer's runes. He's already got 35% CDR, obviously running some scaling CDR blue runes. 35% CDR means that this Destiny, even at level 1, it's going to be surprisingly short. And if you use it off cooldown, you are going to catch Direwolves off guard.
Yeah, and actually Rosie lining up now. Good Tornado there from Chuffer to disengage, but no Monsoon there available. Valkyrie will get forced away. Couldn't find the less slippery target, and King gets away.
No depth charge available for Rosie is the critical factor in that situation. Needed the extra knock-up. Okay, Nautilus needed another CC. Feels a bit cruel, but needed in that situation just to allow Gragas to hit a pinpoint barrel. So able to get out with the Valkyrie.
Yeah, looks like the blue buff will get contested. Though Sharp rotating in, stolen away by Spooks there. And again, Sharp gets denied another blue.
And now Soul Strike's falling behind Experience. Still one camp away from 6. Spooks going to be comfortably 6. The blue taken away from Sharp. You might think, okay, Sharp's already got the Chalice. He doesn't necessarily need the mana regen, but just the cooldown reduction to be able to match the pushing from Swiffer. If he gets out-pushed and out-roamed by Swiffer, that sounds like an MVP potential performance from Swiffer. If he's able to make his impact felt in other lanes with the Destiny, he's already got that second Destiny available.
Yeah, back ready to go. Here is Chuffer will join into the top lane, just trying to tornado down the waves and get the lane reset a bit. King will rotate in, Phage plus Sheen, his current item. So looking pretty good for an early Trinity Force here at ATCS. Quite even with the Sivir. Swiper going in, but King comes back through, and Swiper remembers what happened last time, gives it up.
Swiper backs away, so in this situation he's doing just fine though. The Twisted Fate Destiny, we're waiting to see which lane that'll be cheating towards at this point. Just happy to wave clear. He has all the options. Does he want to stay and just match the wave clear with the Zerth? Does he want to exit lane and have the Gragas take over mid lane? The unique factor about the jungle Gragas pastry time is that he actually has pretty good ranged wave clear himself. He can happily come to the mid lane and make things up. Soul Strikes actually goes in.
Yeah, going in. That was the ulti you heard there from Sion coming through as Rosie does get slowed up. Knock-up moving through. Sharp will find some damage, but it's on to Swift. A nice little mine in there.
Time.
Ulti coming through. No ball to a land. Flashes the last one just in case, and Swiffer gets to safety.
The 100-unit horizontal flash is actually enough for him to stay alive. Doesn't have distortion boots. That's a 5-second cooldown on the flash. Nice smooth moves from Chief Swiffer.
And King doing some barrel rolls in the top lane, wanting to get some damage done to the turret. I like the rotation here. Perfection picked up a little bit more CS, but still struggling 44 to 65, and they're both honestly looking for some early item spikes, but Aurelia will just peak a little sooner.
Absolutely, and Aurelia working towards a Trinity Force, like you said. Hasn't been a lot of jungle pressure this game. That's going to be kind of the unique factor. After the MVP level performance from Spooks, hasn't been able to find a kill involvement. Similar story with Sion. You'd say that probably advantages Sion just a little bit, just because Sion happy to farm camps, already has the Cinderhawk, which double scales with his W passive on that shield. Just happy to just power down camps. Gragas is positioned aggressively in the enemy jungle, though.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. Spooks trying to, again, cover the top side of the lane, but I have a Twisted Fate build I think you're going to like, Papa Smithy. Very different stuff here from Swift. We already discussed the cooldown runes, the early cooldown build, now with the distortion, but that, my friend, is an early Lich Bane coming.
Early Lich Bane. The reason why you might want to go there is no necessarily tank, but the Destiny's pop.
Well, we'll see what happens. No Lich Bane yet, but he's going to move in. Spooks will find Chuffer, but a good Monsoon might disengage. Great ulti there from Spooks, but a flash out from Chuffer. Rosie follow flashes, locks up there with the Dredge line, and Chuffer looking to go down. Wildcards just wide as Chuffer shields himself just in case, but Swiffer has popped the Ghost. He's lost his card, though. Can't quite go in for the stun, but going to throw in some autos instead, and Ghost are able to chase him off. Red card gets the kill.
Yeah, Ghost was the big factor in that situation. Boots too, and Ghost able to match the natural movement speed from Janna. Spooks, I thought he was going to be able to pick up a much easier kill there, but it's actually an excellent shocking orb coming through for disengage from Sharp, but not enough.
And again, Swiffer's Twisted Fate build, lots of early aggression here, moving in for that Lich Bane, and doing lots of damage to the poor squishy Janna early on.
And look, if you have a strong tank laner that Swiffer can't... Oh.
Yeah, Sharp now getting ulted in there. Swiffer falls in with a gold cut. Soul Strike running in massive, but Spooks is diving in there as well on the Gragas. Sharp going to get low. We'll go down to Radiant King soon to follow as Gragas gets the next one. Perfection off to the side. Going to go in. Nautilus already down to the Sion, but Perfection forced to flash away, and the Chiefs grouped as 5 in mid.
Yeah, 2-for-1 trade, and importantly getting both the AD carry, both Sharp's defensive summoners, and the kill onto Sharp. They want to keep pushing.
They're tower diving now. Perfection on top of the barrel does get moved in there. Swiffer will come in ready with the damage as well. Last minute exhaust by Chuffer will actually save Perfection's life, but cannot save the turret.
Yeah, if they take the outer turret, this is the second outer turret. They're going to have complete control over the top side of the jungle, and yes, they pick it up. Chiefs rotating so well, by far the faster team to collapse 5 members into middle.
And you know what? We tried to bring it up a few times, but I think I understand why Swiffer's going for this build.
I mean, the Lich Bane, usually when you're against strong CC laners or champions that can deal with a side lane push like a Zed, you don't want to opt into a Lich Bane first because you won't be able to split push. It's definitely a split push focus or fast push build. Fast push was the name of the game in Game 1. It might actually be the name of the game in Game 2 when he's so close to 40% CDR already. With those CDR runes, he doesn't need to rush necessarily for any more CDR. apart from what he already has in terms of the boots. And Sharp's overextended, no defensive summoners. He's dead.
Yeah, he gets locked up there. No, he's protected by the Direwolves. Wildcards going in, but not enough there for Sharp. Xerath will live for now, and the Direwolves defend their teammate.
He cheats death this time, but was just far too overextended on the blue side of the jungle. They want to pick up a second dragon. They do not have Xerath available for it, but no vision in this area means the Chiefs can't contest.
Yeah, and the Direwolves, that'll be the second dragon actually coming through. The first one basically just from early rotations, but uncharacteristically almost. 2 early dragons going to the Direwolves.
It's not until Perfection gets more items it's going to be relevant, and he's caught again.
Well, he's going to get camped still here. Spook's going to go in. Great pull. We'll keep him alive, but the barrel moves in. Boomerang Blade as well, and Rosie going to collect that one.
And this is very reminiscent of the second OPL game for the Chiefs and Direwolves. They just followed around Perfection wherever possible and took him down. They're doing it again. King's actually found by Twisted Fate in middle lane. Looks like he'll be able to get away, but should be another turret.
Sharp ulting in. Raider going to use the ulti. Forced to flash there as Soul Strike. Great bend there with the ulti, but Rosie stops him in his track and walks away happily.
Spooks is caught in the middle of 2 members.
Going to get stunned up there. Damage coming through. King will get that kill, so a good move for Corki. And now with the Trinity Force, much stronger than he was in the lane.
But already you're looking for spots for the team to group and push in. You don't necessarily see them. Even the mid lane is looking a bit optimistic against the Twisted Fate with Destiny still available. And Swiper's hard freezing in the bottom lane, working towards his Trinity Force. He's going to be so faster in his part times when it comes to item pickups. Already ahead in gold, and this Vlad so far behind.
Yeah, a little late on the Trinity Force for Swiper. Normally would like to have it completed by now, but Perfection's even further behind it. Yes, has his core items, but these are laning items here for Perfection. He hasn't really been in a lane for quite a while.
And he's basically been forced into CDR boots just to have any semblance of relevancy in a fight. Going to be able to kip up those consistent damage on the Tides of Blood. And as you mentioned, the Hextech Revolver for lane pressure. Vladimir, we always expect him to have a 3-4 item power spike. Looking like a long time till those items come through.
Yeah, and if the Direwolves struggle to get to their late game scalings in the last game with the Chiefs' pressure, game 2 might be an even harder affair, but not a massive lead here right now. Just 3,000 for the Chiefs, building up an edge as Swiffer gets his blue buff, but plenty of wiggle room here for the Direwolves, and how much can they get here? They have to start fighting back in this mid game.
And they finally have red wards on both sides of the mid lane tower just to get information about where Twisted Fate is roaming. But with their base broken at this way, the outer mid turret broken, there's a lot of safe places from Twisted Fate to port around. It's too early in the game to have sweepers on the enemy team. So Twisted Fate feels like he's already gotten better than expected in terms of the early game, because when you break the enemy turret first as Twisted Fate, suddenly any lane is a safe spot to port into.
Yeah, just more space to use that semi-global ultimate and just get around for the ganks. Kind of funny that both teams are playing very similarly at this stage of the game. Both using their top laners who need some farm after all the swapping, going into those empty lanes and trying to freeze and collect a lot of farm as the rest roam as for. I like that the Wolves are sticking together with their Corki in particular, but Rosie down the bottom might try and catch on to Chuffer. Swiper here as well, and Swift is going to join the party. Going to come in quite aggressively, stuns in onto Chuffer. Damage will come through. Swiper going to dive in, but the ulti will disengage. Spooks though round the side. King going to be the next target as Exhaust lands in. Cards there grooming in for Swiffer, and kill does go to Spooks.
And this is the downside of this Xerath pick. All you can do in this situation where multiple members show up bot is just try and wave clear and slowly DPS down a turret just to answer the turret that was taken for the Chiefs. But this will be a third outer turret going down for the Chiefs, and they're not going to stop pushing.
No, they're going to keep going on, and we've seen it again from the Chiefs. Love to push down the tier 2s early if they can and just get extra gold and extra pressure. Makes even more sense with the Twisted Fate as Soul Strikes does come in to defend. He's got his Cinderhulk ready to go and has decent wave clear with the maxed out Q there instead, but Spook's even going to take away the grunt from him, and Direwolves starting to lose a bit of traction in this game.
And that situation, why it's so safe to keep pushing is that you can always rotate to mid, and if Xerath stays overextended doing turret damage, you can always gank him in mid because he has no outer turret to defend himself. It's already been taken down early. Perfection finally pushing up this top lane is eventually going to take out an outer turret to start answering, but still, he's sitting on 1,800 gold. I don't know if there's a big enough purchase to match the Trinity Force from Aurelia.
Yeah, and that's the question. Can Perfection match the Aurelia? Because once Aurelia tips that balance of the lane, it gets very tricky. Swiffer going to charge in there onto Chuffer. Good zone there, but Radiant too much damage. Exhaust a little late. Now Swiffer chasing in. He's actually going in onto Sharp, who cleanses out. Now Swiffer, who might have gone too aggressive, going to move back into Radiant. Rosie looking for the dredge line flash, but Sharp flashes out. Soul Strike will go down instead as Radius starting to rack up kills. Ulti there moving through, but just out of range.
And the picks continue from the Chiefs. It's not on the back of Spooks this game. It's they compensate for the Gragas, who doesn't have quite the early game of an Elise jungle in terms of pressure, with Twisted Fate running rampant in the enemy base. Rosie's caught not going to fall down. Yes, he will.
Perfection going in. Hemoplague ticking away. Will give him the kill. Spooks diving in. King in there as well. Good ulti there from Spooks. Gets him away. Now Swiffer will rejoin the party. King locked up. Far too aggressive. Will go down to Spooks. Perfection going to get chased in as well. He'll dodge the stun. Beautiful pull. Cards just a little wide, but Perfection will go down eventually. A double kill for Gragas.
A double kill for Gragas. Now 4-1-2 himself. I believe in general, Dai was just not respecting the low cooldown on Chief Swiffer's Destiny. It's been available so often in the early, and that's the 4th relevant Destiny usage at 19 minutes.
And again, all this CDR early on into the build. The aggression of the Lich Bane, he's rotated beautifully. 6 assists there in that column, maybe not what he wants, but you can tell just how much presence he's had on this map.
Absolutely, 80% kill participation is the much more relevant stat coming through from the Destiny. Gragas himself only involved in half the kills because you can afford to take a lower pressure jungler, and it's arguable how much lower pressure, but we're going to see the replay coming out here. Rosie, after the transfusion, is dead, will fall to the Hemoplague. They keep fighting this situation, but it's the Destiny being available again that's the big factor. The fight's looking good until the Destiny is channeled, and King, the Lich Bane burst damage is huge coming through from the Twisted Fate. Perfection keeps overextending in this situation, manages to pull the gold card, but Swooks will clean up the fight, and another win for the Chiefs.
Yeah, double there for Gragas, and another overextension by King and Perfection. They're trying to get aggressive. King really only plays one way, and that's forward toward you. They're backering or flashing forward to try and get some kills, but dragging up now. Chiefs actually don't have one, so they'll be happy to get this one, but the Dials just looks like they're in no spot to contest for this.
You just feel like in previous games or against other teams, the Dials, they wouldn't be opting for those aggressive fights. They'd be hanging back. They'd be playing the farm game. That's what they're always known for, is playing the long farm games as Chiefs pick up their first dragon of the game. But in this game against, after they've just been punished by a Chiefs team out-rotating them in Game 1, you feel like they're getting the specters of that Game 1 and Game 2, trying to match the rotational power of the Chiefs, just with a comp that in general doesn't rotate as well as the Chiefs does.
I mean, you can't really out-rotate a Twisted Fate. That's the problem. It's not just that the Chiefs are probably better at it. It suits their style, certainly from what we've seen. More so than the Dials, but Twisted Fate's just everywhere now on top of the top lane with Perfection coming through. Swiper diving in. Rosie's here as well. Perfection,
there's
a good
more
pull.
CC coming.
I mean, yeah, there's plenty left here. Rosie will lock him up. Swiper in there, and Swiffer actually gets it with some wild cards.
And Swiffer actually got the Destiny gold card, and as Perfection was channeling his teleport to escape, so teleport's not available. They do take out another outer turret. That's 3 outer turrets to match the Chiefs' earlier 3 outer turret goal. Daiwars, at least they're trying to match, and with the Trinity Force on Corki, they're using that to pick up structures. So in terms of their win conditions, definitely more on top of them this game than they were in the previous one.
And they can still let Vladimir go big and carry them in the late stages of this game. They're confident in their late game team fighting, confident in Perfection's ability to carry a game, and it's much closer now. And I like that the Wolves have been fighting back here in the mid game.
But I think you just need to really employ the buddy system if you're the Daiwars. The issue is the Vladimir can never just solo push or solo farm, because he'll be killed by the rotational power coming through of the Twisted Fate. In general, the way to beat a Twisted Fate is to stay grouped as 5 and force things yourself, because if you split up, we already mentioned it, he's going to rotate faster than anybody else.
And it's interesting to not see a Twisted Fate ban as a result there from Swiffer, because what you just described to me there, grouping up as 5 and stopping the Twisted Fate, sounds like the complete opposite of the Dial's current play style.
I mean, you want to hope that you can keep Twisted Fate contained, but if Sharp's champion pool doesn't include the likes of LeBlanc and Ahri, we've seen one Ahri game, no LeBlanc gameplay from him. I believe the Ahri game was a loss as well. If you don't feel like you can pressure the Twisted Fate, I guess you have to ban it, because they're not able to answer. Their natural style is countered by just how Twisted Fate plays.
Yeah, and we've seen that here in this game. 12-5 up in kills for the Chiefs. A good chunk of gold ahead as well, behind in Dragons and even in turrets. So the Dive's doing a good job with objectives here in this game, but those kills, man, everyone just racking up. I mean, Twisted Fate at 3-0-6, everyone getting stronger. Even 4 kills for the jungler, but Swiper, we talked about it. He can look to take over this game. 2 items up for Raid here, and almost a Zhonya's here for TF.
But this is the issue. You look at this minimap, Twisted Fate happily in the bottom lane. He's actually going to put in aggressively.
Yeah, going in there onto King this time. Rosie joins in. Depth Charge is used there to lock him up. Good hook, though, landing onto Chuffa. Spooks wants in. Chuffa will get moved back in, and Swiffer will get that kill next. Now going to line up the next gold card with the Ghost still ticking away, and it could be a Siege.
I mean, Twisted Fate in this position, he sets up in bottom lane, has Lich Bane, does a lot of turret damage himself, so you have to answer him. But also the mid lane has to play defensively, as Sharp has been doing all game. So there's just so much pressure on this bottom side of the map, and they've forced into a Vlad versus Irelia matchup, where Irelia just has so many items on the Vlad.
Yeah, we can see trying to defend off here. King a little low, has to be careful. Swiffer probably happily diving him here at this stage of the game, but no ulti's quite back up yet. They'll back away, actually, despite no major objectives. So Xerath wave clear coming up trumps there as far as keeping that tower alive, and they'll keep it even for now.
I mean, the Destiny right now is already on a 100-second cooldown. I believe starts at 200, so lets you know just how much the CDR is doing from level 6 to level 11, just from the levels, and then again with the basically 40% CDR when he has the blue buff.
Yeah. 30% right now, I believe. So
40% with blue.
Yeah, perfect stuff there coming through for Swiffer as far as CDR goes in the build. Now moving into a Void stuff, potentially maybe a Rabadons as well. Got the blasting one for plenty of options there. And we can look through 3 upgraded trinkets for the Chiefs. Again, it's a close-looking game, but the Chiefs, with that extra gold, just getting a bit more purchase out of their items.
I mean, it's rotational power again with the instant rotations of the Destiny and the On the Hunt. This time they have the Sivir. Such a high priority on the Sivir in this OPL final. First picked in both series. But again, first picked by Daiwal's getting little to no pressure or presence out of the On the Hunt, but this game, with the Twisted Fate especially, the rotations have been so on point by the Chiefs.
And I feel like the Chiefs picking this Aurelia to pick on perfection. Vladimir's pretty tricky to lock down, but the Chiefs will rotate into the jungle and maybe look for Soul Strike. Scrying Orb will spot them away as Spook's going to be the target now. Actually, will body slam his way out as ulti's been popped by Soul Strikes. Rosie the target here. Radier has popped his ultimate though, as they're looking for some kills there through the jungle, but lots of cooldowns used and no kills anywhere right now. Oh, Hook landing in, just hits on the King, who's forced to flat. Ulti there onto Sharp, swipe around the back for a great flank. They'll collapse there onto the Direwolves. The Swiffer looking in there. Hemoplague position well, Perfection diving in deep there to try and get some kills. Great play there, Perfection gets Rosie, and Soul Strike will follow in. Swiffer going down there to Sion and the Wolves. They fight back.
It was an excellent fight coming from the Direwolves, and the big factor was that the whole time King was free hitting on top of a pink wall. They had no vision of King to be able to trade damage, so he free hit on Corki. Corki with Trinity Force, with Sorcerer's Shoes. The mid-game damage is definitely relevant, and Chiefs were not respecting it.
And King ramping up even more now. Blade of the Ruined King is his second choice. He wants to battle everyone here and even get a bit of self-peel away from the Aurelia.
So a second item, you usually go for either the Bloodthirst or the Blade of the Ruined King. We're going to see the replay. Watch King in the back. Of course, he first has to flash away, but he will be free hitting the moment this fight starts. Swiffer overextends looking for a gold card target that isn't Soul Strike, so he backs away. And despite the fact that Destiny is popped, King is free hitting in the backline. No one is able to damage. The Monsoon is excellent just for the healing factor in the backline. And finally, a team fight victory for the Direwolves.
And we've talked about it. When they play together, they look good, especially when their carries have some items. And that gold lead, not that big at all. 4,000 gold now between the two teams. Corki getting stronger. Perfection now somehow has come up with 170 CS and some solid items. This is where the Wolves start to excel.
And you start to look for trends in Chiefs games when they lose. There's only been the one, so it's hard to do, but Twisted Fate, that was the mid lane choice in that situation. At this point, the engaged support rather than disengaged support may come to haunt them, because Sivir, with her short range, she does a lot of team fight damage, but she has to respect tanks because of the 500 range in her fight. And without a disengaged support, she may struggle to actually use her offensive abilities, her auto-attack reset on W to really put out damage in a fight.
Yeah, and Soul Strike from the jungle had a much better game for himself, just much more free time here on the Sion. Sure, affected some lanes reasonably well, kept the pressure up a bit better than the last game on Sejuani, but Destiny going to ride it for Swiffer. They're going to go on. Who do they want? It's Perfection. They're going to try and lock down the pool. Is going to follow through. Now Soul Strike's tanking up Radiant, free hitting there as well, but the rest of the Wolves rotating around King, forced to get away from the Nautilus ultimate though, and Swiper flashes on top of him, but Soul Strike will come into peel. Swiffer going to look for some kills. They move in on top. Xerath goes down. Perfection will follow. King not dead, but he can't do anything right now. Soul Strikes will be the next one to fall. Swiper died zoning, but that's 2 for 1 for the Chiefs.
But the zoning was so important, Patreon. That's why we saw Swiper flash on top of King. The Direwolves tried to react. They tried to peel for King. That left Xerath all on his lonesome. Wasn't able to position defensively. Wasn't around a cove. Was just zerged down by the front line of Chiefs and fell. They need to fight around their carries, but in that situation, splitting focus, that's how it allowed the Chiefs to win.
And Soul Strikes eventually dying. Does make it 3 for 1 there as the Sion passive wears away. Second Dragon picked up there for the Chiefs, so equalizing that objective. Towers, interestingly, still both up here. It's just the outer ring felt for both, so lots of maneuvering maneuvering in the center of the map probably tells you that's been quite a close 10 minutes or so. But the Chiefs, again, still with that gold lead, but not that big.
So we watch the replay. They go so aggressive onto Perfection, trying to burst him down before he can pull. He finally gets the option to pull, but the re-engage comes onto King, who just goes too aggressive into the backline. So now Direwolf's threats are completely separated. Chuffer first goes towards King, then backs away. Sharp is caught out in this situation. They need all their peel onto their 2 damage threats, because if they split them, that's what the Chiefs do so well. Is they're always going to win rotations with the On the Hunt, with Twisted Fate, with double mobility summoners, and just with the Fleet of Foot passive coming through from Sivir.
And King, interestingly, actually has a QSS as his 3rd item there, so wanting to stay protected. Can't shake off the Nautilus ultimate, unfortunately, but can shake off the follow-up CC that's guaranteed from that point. Spooks can still get in there with a Gragas ultimate, but Sharp's going to be the target. Massive grab comes through, and Swiper cleans that one.
There's just no way that Sharp can be that far down the lane against a Twisted Fate. Has to respect the engagement potential of Twisted Fate, Gragas, Nautilus. So much CS. Cleanse was available, but hell, why cleanse when you're just going to be dead to the next CC?
Yeah, too much CC there coming through. Spooks maybe going to look for an ultimate here, moving someone back, maybe get them off the turret as the Chiefs will look for a siege. Aggressive wards coming down, and those tier 2 turrets finally going to look to fall.
And while they're short-range turret sieges, they do so much turret damage.
And going in for a dive, actually zoning King away there with the Nautilus ultimate. Damage coming through Perfection, trying to find it, but Cards just moving in for Swiffer, and the Chiefs get their first tier 2.
Yeah, between Twisted Fate and Sivir, you're talking about perhaps the most turret damage of any AD carry mid lane duo, the Lich Bane, and of course the cards, the magical damage affecting turrets. And Sivir, with the auto attack cancel, does so much damage to the turrets herself. Okay, they're not the safest, but when you have a zoning depth charge come through from Nautilus, you have to respect that. Of course, uncleansable initiation CC. The turrets, they continue to fall.
And they're really feeling for the lack of peel here for Sharp, who finally going to go back and probably get his Rabadon, which has been delayed for so long in this game. 31 minutes in, and he just gets it.
I mean, look, the question is, how do you peel away the depth charge? You just can't. Even if you have Banshee Veil, it goes through that ability. With a Janna complaining about a lack of peel, that just shows the reality of how strong and how many varied initiation options they have, because you can't QSS away Gragas ultimate displacement. You can't QSS the Riptide, or sorry, the depth charge coming through from Nautilus. Twisted Fate can come from so many angles. And speaking of initiation, he's going after King.
Yeah, going on to King. Ghost already popped. Massive damage there from the Lich Bane. Pick a card. We'll be following back in. Soul Strikes comes in, but a great Sonya's there. Going to dodge that ulti. Now Spook's going to go in onto Soul Strikes as the next target. Radiant doing massive damage on the Sivir. Rosie finds Chuffer with the hook. Massive damage gives Nautilus that kill, and Dials, they're going to lose another tier 2.
It could have been so much worse. The QSS was actually popped before the gold card registered, so the CC duration was the complete 2 seconds. The follow-up CC from Gragas came in. They only get the single pick, but all this time, Aurelia just farming down the bottom. Banshee Veil to complement that Trinity Force, only going to get stronger.
Yeah, and Swiper had a quiet Aurelia game, which is not what we would have said after seeing him play in the semifinals. But Spooks and Swiffer, that age-old duo, been just doing work here, and Swiper only needs to be a role player in this game, but that's fine. He's done just that.
And the Twisted Fate has definitely overtaken the game. 15 out of 19 kill participation. Again, around the 80% mark. Gragas definitely had a quieter game, but been very useful. And that's the thing. As Xerath, where do you position against Gragas Barrow, against the depth charge from Nautilus, and against the Twisted Fate Destiny? Even if you position right down the back of the fight, Twisted Fate can just come and join you.
And Swiffer looking for a Destiny now as well, potentially. Does have it back, ready to go. That CDR build paying off nicely here. Don't see where the blasting one. I could have sworn he had one, but doesn't win. Oh, never mind. He actually finished his death cap. I found it.
He turned it into a death cap. You knew it was going to be the ability part. It helps with his split push more than the void stuff. The magic resist stack, it's just not there from the Direwolves yet, to be honest. Only really the chalice into the Athene's Unholy Grail, and just working towards the Abyssal Scepter is perfection. So why not just go for instant wave clear push, instant global pressure?
Yeah, Swiffer coming in, looking again for people overextending. And we talked about the Direwolves playstyle. Perfection overextending for farm. King overextending for farm. King actually quite significantly down in CS this game, and you can see when he tries to overextend to pick up those extra creeps that he loves to get, Swiffer is always ready with a Destiny.
And you can see the aggression coming in the Chiefs just from their pink ward, and they have 2 pink wards in the jungle of the Direwolves. They have lots of red wards coming out defensively now, but Swiffer, he has an Oracle's sweeper of his own, pushing up aggressively. Can't get a solo kill on Vladimir with all his escape options, but can still instantly clear these waves and cause so much pressure across the map.
And we talk about Direwolves needing to peel for their 2 damage threats. We saw when they get separated especially, but things do look troublesome here for the Wolves. But, you know, you might be thinking, what about Perfection? He's a massive damage threat on Vlad. Sure, just not yet.
He's getting there, though. I mean, the 3 items at this point, of course, has the stasis and the pool for 5 seconds of untargetability. Has the Void Staff, respecting the double Banshee Veil lock. It's such an important Void Staff in this game in particular because the magic resist, honestly, is insane. Even Nautilus has a Spectre's Cal of all things from the support role. So Vladimir is doing relevant damage, but I feel like you're 1 item short of really starting to rip apart teams with the consistent damage of a Vladimir.
You just need to keep perfection 1 item behind here on the Vlad. It's not quite 10,000 gold ahead for the Chiefs, closer to 8 now as they're going to line up for their 3rd Dragon and the 5th overall in the game. And the Dials, they can't quite get for this one. Okay, probably okay to give this up, but again, how far will they fall behind here before they're ready to fight? Because we saw in the last game, the game went quite long and the Dials just couldn't find a foothold back. And
the worry you see from the Dials is that, look, we know that Swift has been anchored to the top lane, keeps pushing it out. Irelia is controlling the bot lane minion wave, and in the mid lane, they've just been matching it with farming. Destiny popped, though.
Yeah, Swift going in there onto Soul Strikes, who does actually get the knockup. Rosie coming through again with the teleport, moving in for perfection, you have to think. Going into the backlines, Radier zoned off. Soul Strikes tanking massive amounts of damage, but on the hunt, just moving Radier in. Soul Strikes does go down. Perfection, ulti's in the back. The Dials trying to fight back here, but Perfection too low. Forced to flash away. Chuffle will keep them alive, but he flashes out as well. Only the 1 kill onto the jungler, but the Chiefs just healthier than the Direwolves.
See the reinitiation. Vladimir's going to move away.
Driving on there. Swiper will go in, and Pool used a little early. Zonya's there as well for Vlad, and Swiper gets the next kill.
Swiffer is an insane genius of Twisted Fate, but he actually flashed on top of the Sion ultimate to cause the knockup to be able to stop the Sion and pick up the Sion kill. Sion's still dead. They can think about doing Baron, but they guarantee that outer top turret.
Yeah, just a couple kills on a turret. Not a massive payoff there for the Chiefs, but a win there nonetheless. Now 10,000 gold ahead. Upper Dragon here as well, starting to take the tier 2 turrets away, and Sharp looking a bit lonely here in the top lane. Destiny back up soon. He can't stay here for too long.
But they have both mid turrets, both top turrets, outer and inners, both down. Suddenly this Baron, with the pink wards they've had up for so long, is looking very, very safe. And the Baron especially will tip this game towards the Chiefs.
And we've looked so much here at the Twisted Fate 4-1-12 bevy of items that rated just quietly. An even better score, 5-1-10. He went the Bloodthirst a third again, now has his last Whisper. Just spoiled for damage right now.
And definitely vindicating the first pick Sivir that just didn't seem to do a lot of work for King and the Direwolves in game 1. Such priority on Sivir, but the rotations have been on point. The damage at this point is so relevant. And even with a tank like Sion, he's able to cut through the front line and start getting massive damage to the back line as well.
Yeah, we saw that before. Radier basically going Graves mode, just getting in melee with the ultimate in that last fight and having confidence in his team to keep him up as he runs through with the fleet of foot passive. The Chiefs look scary right now, and the Direwolves in a big hole just have to sit back, farm, and hope for the best.
I mean, the Direwolves want to farm up, and they just want to give away the minimum. At this point, they cannot afford to give away a Baron, but they haven't been in range of putting down Baron Vision for a very long time. So Baron started. Soul Strikes, he's close, but the Baron is at 5,000 health. Will they continue DPSing, or will they peel off? It looks like they'll go the defensive route.
They peel away, but the Chiefs are so confident that Swiffer is in the bottom lane pushing on Twisted Fate. King even going to potentially get caught there as well. And we talked about Twisted Fate split push with the Lich Bane. Haven't seen it until now, but the Chiefs, just so many options at this point.
And that's the 6th and final outer turret. It's collapsed by the Chiefs. They have all the turrets available. Swiffer's waiting for a pick. 5 members strong though. It's Direwolves a group, and 37 minutes in, they're not going to separate and allow any assassination from TF.
No, Sharp will get the blue. Can't actually deny it there. Will Swiffer just goes home instead and finishes the Void Staff now. So 4 damage items done for Swiffer. No one is safe now from the Twisted Fate Destinies. Not that they really were before. And unfortunately for Direwolves, that's not just their champions. Their turrets now under attack by the Twisted Fate.
I mean, all the outer turrets are down. All the inner turrets are down. Things are looking excellent for the Chiefs because having all those globals, those structures down, it's not just the global gold coming through, which of course was nerfed on patch 5.6. You don't get as much gold for inner turrets. It's again this Baron Vision. They're actually forced to use the Xerath ultimate just to get to peek into whether there's any Baron threat coming through from the Chiefs.
Yeah, bit of a poke there onto Rosie, but not enough damage there for Sharp right now. Does have a Void Staff now, so respectable damage coming through for the Xerath. Same could be said there for King with his 3 items, but it's 3 items to 4 here for these mid and bottom lane carries, and again, it's been the story of the series so far. The Chiefs just always 1 or 2 steps ahead of the Wolves.
And for once, Direwolves, they don't have any measurable scaling advantages in the late game. It's not like we're going to reach a stage where Xerath is a stronger champion than Twisted Fate. Vladimir and Irelia, you could definitely argue either way. Maybe a slight tip to Vladimir, but I mean, Corki versus Sivir, if anything, you probably give the advantage to Sivir in that matchup. Probably does more tank busting especially, so he's going to be able to mow down the high health but low resistance Perfection in the front line, and Soul Strikes to some degree, although you never really mow down a side.
No, and Spook's actually just showing Soul Strike something there as he does use the body slam. Soul Strikes will ultimate though. He's going to initiate, try to find Radiant, but Radiant dodges out of the way, and Swiffer still in the top lane pushing away. The Chiefs just buying time.
The Direwolves, they need to win a team fight. They need to win it quick or their base is going to be completely ruined.
No bad news for the base. The inhibitor goes down there as King goes forward onto Swiper. Good damage coming in, but Twisted Fate should be able to join in soon. There's the Destiny popping right onto the carries. Gets shot there with a gold card. Pops the Zhonya's. Chiefs getting zoned away. Swiffer actually now has to run as well. Ultimate's coming through, looking for the stun. Flashes away. Ulti's not quite there. Spook's going back in. Radiant going to get the kill onto Vlad. Now chasing in onto Soul Strikes as the double comes through. Chiefs chasing them down. There's 3 kills it looks like across the board. Radiant going to kite the dead Scion away. And the Chiefs base already broken. They keep going.
Yeah, 3 for 1. Twisted Fate and Sivir both alive. This inhibitor turret will explode.
That was a crazy fight as well, all across the map, splitting up the Direwolves again, but this structure's warm out. Inhibitor tower goes down. Inhibitor in mid is soon to fall, and the Chiefs can't end the game right now, but there is not a lot left for the Wolves to defend.
There's just no good decisions for the Direwolves. They finally find a fight that looks good. They know Swift is split away, but you just don't factor in the fact that your turrets will explode to Twisted Fate. You have to engage quickly and then get back to your base and stop even a Nexus turret from going down. But Swiffer gets the structure, able to pot in as the fight's in the process. They win the fight. They get both inhibitors down. Chiefs, everything going their way.
Yeah, Dragon back up. Baron's still alive. Swiper down in the bottom lane actually going to pop down to collect a bit of extra farm for himself. Actually has a longsword there, so might be moving in for a second offensive item here after the Randuin Zoman plus the Banshee's Veil on top of that Trinity Force, of course.
But you know things are going your way when you get both inhibitors and then able to walk down bot and get 4 or 5 minion waves grouped up to be cleared out. Everything coming together for the Chiefs.
Yeah, another needlessly large rod there for Swiffer. Probably going for the Luden's Echo just because there are no other big AP items left here for him to buy. Twisted Fate in the top side of the map. The Dial's looking for a Dragon, going to equalize for the third, but they have to be careful. They take too long. They're just going to lose their base here.
They're going to lose their base. Actually, they have the teleport up on Vlad, but I don't think he can handle this Twisted Fate.
We're going to go in. Spook steals the Dragon anyway. Beautiful smite in there in Perfection. Now going to get aggressed on Swiffer walking down, but the Chiefs just want to buy time. Ultimate's popped by Radiant. They're going to try and deny some backs, and Rosie round the side going to dodge away. And again, just being annoying. Buy time for the Twisted Fate. First Nexus turret goes down. Perfection going to buy some time here as well, but should go down there. Flashes away, but gets killed. Second Nexus turret goes down. Swiffer going to get chased. King in trouble. The Zonya's popped there by the Twisted Fate. Can he get the solo? Not quite, but it might be too much here.
Well, this is 4 members. They're just going to run straight onto this Nexus and finish the game.
Yeah, casual triple kill there for Radiant. Sharper going to flash into his fountain. Will go down instead, but the Chiefs, they can start to feel a bit more celebration now in the seats, as you can see. 1 game away from their first title in a year.
Absolutely. They have 3 opportunities now, the Chiefs, from picking up the victory here and going to Turkey for the International Wildcard Invitational. Very impressive rotational performance from them. And the Twisted Fate, we waited to see what could Sharp counterpick with that 5th pick to deal with that Twisted Fate, and the answer was Xerath, which at best was only going to match wave clear. Can't punish the Twisted Fate. He goes over and wins the game.
And we talked about it. TF just looked like a champion that was designed to counter the way the Dials like to play. And honestly, in that game, I think I have to agree.
If you have a confident counter pick, maybe you take the risk. But if you're Sharp, who's more used to those wave clear champions that can't punish the Twisted Fate, you got to ban it.
And I mean, we might just see a ban coming up in this 3rd game. 3 match points here effectively for the Chiefs is great news for them. But I don't know what the Wolves have to answer because, again, it's been a fairly predictable playstyle for them.
And that's the thing. They've consistently gone for long laning phases, scaling up into the late game. Twisted Fate punishes anybody who's overextended as a single member. The Direwolves, they don't like early grouping. They have long game times in general, 10 minutes longer on average than the Chiefs in the playoff stages. They were punished for it.
Well, with that